you have to always ask this is, Molyneux was good at this too. And, unfortunately, it's sad to see that he helped such a big impact on your guys' life and he did so many other people. It's always frustrating. And so conceptually, you always want to think about, like, why would you run for president, right? One, you want to win for whatever reason to make the world a better place. You can decision tree that. So one is you want to win. Two is you want to build your brand. That was the traditional reason that the Republican primary would be 20 people, because that was your audition for a Fox News gig. The Democrat primaries tended to be thinner, people who wanted to win. The Republican one was, I want to be on Fox News, I want a book deal. Those are brand. Three is you want to change the conversation, right? So Kanye, does he want to win? He doesn't want to win. He doesn't care. He knows he's not going to win. Does he need to build this brand? I mean, that's the silliest thing in the world. When people who are like political Twitter people, oh, he's just trying to sell shoes. Kanye sold more shoes before he got into politics. If you want to sell shoes, you don't come out as pro-life. It's like, oh, he wants to sell shoes. Do you know who his demographic is? I'm not going to go buy Kanye's shoes because he's like pro-life now. All he's doing is causing himself trouble. Three is you want to change the conversation. And that's what Kanye is doing. He is saying, here are the issues. And his platform was a quite good populist platform, better than anything I've seen from Josh Hawley or Dan Crenshaw or Ted Cruz. Then you want to say, I want these issues to be talked about. So Tucker Carlson is now talking about Kanye talking about abortion in the Black community. That wouldn't have happened without Kanye. People are going to talk about issues that they wouldn't have talked about if Kanye hadn't entered the race. So Kanye is changing the conversation about who can run, why you should run. He's changing the conversation about the issues and what we're going to talk about. That's his goal there. So it isn't a stunt, as some people would say. It isn't to build his brand. And to me, I just laugh at that. It really is about getting the conversation going, getting the Bible. In his platform, he has a biblical verse and everything. He's kind of tricking you into reading the Bible. So leaning into God, leaning into pro-life positions, getting people to talk about these issues. That's why Kanye's running, and it's working.
Yeah, and I can definitely see him. Excuse me. I can definitely see him getting a pretty good sized amount of votes, and of course, Kanye West being such a huge figure in entertainment, just in the culture in general. There's people, especially the Democrats, saying, well, he's doing this because it's going to hurt Joe Biden and Donald Trump has something to do with this. And then, of course, Trump had to come out and say, I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing to do with this. And so I can definitely see him getting some good amount of votes. And as far as I know, and I wrote it down, he's actually on the ballot officially, I'm pretty sure, in Oklahoma, Illinois, and Vermont. And then he's some other states that he's trying to get onto the ballot as well. And that's pretty interesting to know that when you're going to go into the ballot box or however we're going to vote, whether it's mail-in or something like that, I have no idea, especially with coronavirus being around and how the government's reacting to all that. It's just going to be funny. It's got to make people chuckle when they look at their thing and go, Donald Trump, wow, he was just on The Apprentice 5 years ago. Okay, that's weird. Joe Biden, he was vice president under Obama. So we're going to continue the Obama legacy or whatever, or Obama regime. Okay. And then Kanye West, like, what kind of world are we living in? This is crazy. Like the fact that, and like kind of we were saying, and it's funny too, this does kind of tie in with the libertarian stuff because he's going out there and saying what he's going to say, and he's not afraid of what people are going to say. And I guess it kind of does help that he's just this huge figure. He's so rich, and he probably doesn't have to worry about losing a whole lot of money. But that's the kind of fire and the kind of passion that I like to see from libertarians, not just being, I want to tie in, balance on the line, and I don't want to piss you off. I don't want to piss you off. He's just going out there and saying what Kanye's going to say.
Yep.
I would like to see a Libertarian Party presidential candidate being like, yeah, we're for private property rights, and I think a business should, employ whoever they want. Yeah, what's the problem there? Because let's face it, if a black-owned family or a black-owned family, wow, that sounded terrible. A black-owned restaurant or whatever, and they're going to mainly employ
owned restaurants.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's
by the way, that's how your political career gets ended. That's what like they do to Trump. Remember, Trump's like, we love our blacks, and he was like, we love our black supporters who show up and everything. Like, wow, Trump is a slave owner now.
Yeah,
that really is how the media slices, and that's what's funny too is you can like see that when you do stuff live. You're like, oh, they're gonna clip that.
Yeah.
Here's how they're gonna edit that, and then here's how the narrative is gonna be.
Yeah, well, that's why I always make sure to have the whole thing. So if someone does end up clipping that, it's like, well, actually, I did say.
I mean, and that, but that's still a little bit old school too, which is Trump had that disastrous HBO interview. That was 10 years ago, or was that last week? Right, 50 million views of that Corona interview we did with Jonathan Swan. And
right. Okay.
Yeah, you don't even remember it. No, it was the biggest. You're like, oh my god, this is, and that's what I've had to learn too. Like, I've been in some pretty not nice news cycles, so to speak. And you're like, oh my god, it's over for me now. Like, I'm dead. And then Ali said something to me once. He goes, Mike, it's politics. They don't kill you. You just can't quit. And that's the thinking that libertarians and everyone needs to have if you're in this game is, I just said I'm not going to quit. I don't care how many times you call me the Pizzagate guy, the rape apologist guy, the white guy, this, the alt that thing. I'm just not going to quit. I'm just not going to get out of your face. And I haven't killed, so it's been an approach that works out. But when you're early in this game, you do really feel like you just got nuked. Like, oh my God, it really is over. And then the next day you're like, oh shit, why did I even care? It doesn't even matter. That's certainly true of like public figures. And that's what Trump is good at. That's why people go, oh, this interview is a disaster and it's terrible. And the Axios thing, I was like, yeah, this wasn't a very good interview, but it doesn't matter. It's just another thing that happened among 100,000 other things. So if you guys keep, going into this world, you just got to lean into it. The next day, nobody even knows. I mean, I know people. There's a guy who he used to troll me a lot on Twitter. And I was like, wow, this guy's really annoying. And he became like a resistance hero. I don't know why I didn't think to do my research myself. But it turns out the guy had been a convicted felon. He ripped off a bunch of people on a Broadway play. He ran a scam where he raised money for a play. Just we're talking like real scumbag shit, right? Mm-hmm. And not a bad joke tweet, like a real dirtbag. And like nobody even knew that. He's just on Twitter. Doesn't even matter. And he actually committed real crimes. And that's where the Republicans or libertarians, because it's always if you're right wing, and libertarianism is not right wing, but that's how it's treated by the media. Like Aleppo and Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson's error was he just quit doing media for a while and that stuck. But if you do Aleppo, but then you do 10 other interviews that day, 15 Periscopes, 15 YouTube podcasts, 30 blog posts, 100 social media things, that's just like a thing. You can't let it stick, though. You can't be like, oh, they got me good. I'm not going to say anything for a week, because now you're the Aleppo guy. Now you're the fat libertarian guy in a G-string. Now you're the lady with bat rabies. That's who you are forever. Whereas instead, you push through that, and then 100 other things happen, and then all they know is, because I have people that follow me on Twitter, they're like, I don't even know who you are how I start following you, because I'm just like a thing now, right? Like, who am I even? What do I even do? Half the people who follow me don't even know. 80% of people who follow me don't know that I have a Guerrilla Mindset book that is like what put me on the map in terms of like as a career as a writer. Over half the people who follow me haven't watched Host, which is like, I feel like I've spammed people to death, like, and they're like, oh, I didn't know you had a movie. Where do I watch your movie? And I'm like, where do you watch my movie? What do you mean? You haven't seen 1,000 tweets of me on it? And no, they haven't. And the lesson there is the same aspects that are frustrating, which is like, just watch my movie. It costs $4. Just fucking go watch it right now. That drives you a little bit batty, is the same reason that when things hit you, your people don't even know about it. They're like, oh, I even saw that thing. Who cares? I don't even believe it. So you become less hung up by like the quote unquote like Oppo. So Karen Bass, that's how they got her. They got that one like Scientologist video, and she made a mistake. Just lean into it. But instead, they kind of go into their bunkers, and now it's like, okay, so Karen Bass is a Scientology lady. And okay, that's who she is now. And this other candidate is the whatever that gets dumped. Okay, they're still running that old model PR playbook, which is you get hit, go into your bunker, just lay low, let it blow over. It doesn't blow over anymore. Its narrative sets on you like concrete. It's like if I dumped concrete on you and it was wet and you just stood there, let it blow over, now you're a statue. But if you threw it off of you and got it off you, it doesn't stick. So Karen Bass, she's now the Scientologist person. That's not fair. She gave one talk 10 years ago to a thing. You know, like, was she supposed to, you can't talk to Scientologists? That's new to me. You're not allowed to talk to Scientologists? Okay, that's a new rule. And well, Scientology has done some bad things. A lot of people have done bad things to bad people. So, but you can talk to Louis Farrakhan and you're okay, but you can't talk to Scientology. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. In terms of PR, the mistake was you can't let that bad narrative stick. You have to lean into it because then you're hot because they're attacking you. That's when you want to dominate the conversation and then get people talking about who you really want them to see. And people still don't know that. You think they would, but most people don't know that playbook because most marketing professionals don't know it. And then you need a certain amount of psychological robustness to know that I'm walking into a room where everyone hates me. That's not a fun thing to do, right? They hate me. You know, you imagine you go to a party, everybody like gives you, have you seen the meme of all the chicks like looking at a guy like that? It's like kind of a funny little meme. Like imagine you walk in and that's your like reaction. If you don't have a certain amount of fermenity with your psychology and your mindset, you're not going to want to go into the room. But if you want to be in the game, because like Kanye's been good at that too. Every time they try to make something stick, he just boom, 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 boom. He keeps doing something else. So now you're like, oh, he kind of gave that slave comment at TMZ, but I don't really even know what that means at this point. Like he said it, I don't really get it. Something abortion, yeah, he's pro-life, right? And so you have to keep going forward, and that's why Kanye is credible, not in 2020, but in 2024 and 2028, which is you just have to keep doing stuff. And then no one bad thing that they try to nuke you with is ever going to hit. And that's even with Molyneux. I told him with Molyneux is, I wish he'd have done this, Stefan, is I was like, just post family stuff. Just post, like if you know that they're trying to get you, just post puppy pics, nature pics. I took a hike in the woods and just for a month, and then people would be like, oh yeah, I follow this like nature account. You know, and then be like, it really does change the tone. But if you know you're a target and you're like, I'm going to give you another little tweet that you can file away, and I'm going to give you like another little clip that you can make, just do a nature account. But you got to do something. So you can't do nothing, and you can't give them more. So you have to do something completely different. Kanye really does grasp that, either intuitively or cognitively, on some kind of level. He understands that. And Trump gets it too. He stopped doing it, but just, you know, 1 week ago, oh my God, I can't believe he did this HBO interview. It's over for the Orange Man. And now they're like, oh, he wants to give money to people on unemployment. We have to crush the Orange Man. You're like, what a turn a week takes.
Well, I guess I'll remember that if I have a really bad tweet. Just start posting nature pics.
Or something. Just family pics. If you do drawing, you have a really nice Instagram food pic account. I would just post food pics. You know, the point is it's like, and this is talked about in Guerrilla Mindset, and it works widely, which is if you don't like the conversation, you change it. So if they're trying to say you are X, rather than say I'm not X, oh, is he X? He claims he's not X, but here's an evidence showing he's X. So he might be X. I don't know. That becomes who you're like defined as. You don't even say I'm not X. They say you're X. And then all you talk about is YZ, ABC. And then people are like, wait a minute, I was just told he's X, but he doesn't even talk about X. He's talking about ABC. But what is really going on here? That's the genius of modern public relations strategy.